Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. The throne room of the Zorathi Empire was built from black stone and golden glass. Tall banners hung from the ceiling, each one showing the sharp silver blade that marked their royal symbol. At the center of the room stood the king, tall, broad, armored in gold. His eyes burned like small suns. In front of him on a raised glass platform stood two humans, Commander Royce, Earth's ambassador to Zorathi space. And beside him, holding a translator device close to her chest, was Lena Moore. Just a translator. Just a voice. And yet, she was about to speak the words that would change the galaxy. Lena's heart was racing. She had trained for years, learned alien dialects, studied every Zorathi phrase. She knew how dangerous this meeting was. One wrong word could be taken as disrespect. One wrong sound could mean death. She looked up at the king. He stared at her with cold silence, waiting. Lena took a deep breath, then spoke into the translator. "The people of Earth greet you, honored king of the Zorathi. We come in respect, peace, and unity." The translator glowed green. The machine spoke in Zorathi tongue. Everyone in the hall heard it. And then, silence. Sharp. Still. Too still. The king slowly stood. The guards tensed. Lena felt her knees weaken. The king spoke in a slow, deep voice. "What did you say?" Commander Royce leaned over. "Lena, I said he's honored," she replied, checking the translator log. The king's voice grew louder. "You dare call me obedient in my own hall?" Lena's heart dropped. "I didn't say that." The Zorathi crowd roared in outrage. Guards raised their weapons. The king's voice shook the walls. "You insult the crown. You spit in my face. You shall pay with your heads." Royce grabbed Lena's arm. "Run!" They dashed toward the side gates as the guards fired plasma spears. Energy bolts scorched the floor behind them. Zorathi nobles screamed as they fled the throne room. Lena's translator dropped from her hands and shattered. They escaped into the palace corridors, running past golden statues and long halls lit with red emergency lights. "Royce," Lena cried. "I didn't say obedient, I swear." "I know," he said, pulling her behind a pillar. "It must have been the dialect. But it was perfect in the logs. That doesn't matter now. You saw his face, he's calling for blood." Outside, the city was already changing. Their faces appeared on digital signs. Wanted, humans Royce and Lena. Dead or alive. 100,000 credits. Lena stared in shock. All this? Because of one word? Royce looked grim. "No, I think the king wanted this. You just gave him an excuse." They boarded a stolen hover cycle and raced through the night sky, towers flashing past them, alarms ringing across every screen. Lena's mind spun in circles. "I've studied Zorathi since I was 16. I knew that phrase. I double-checked. "It." Royce said nothing for a moment. Then he looked at her. "You think someone changed it?" She blinked. "What? What if your device was tampered with?" Her breath caught. Could someone have done that? Could someone have turned a translator into a weapon? They reached the spaceport gates. Royce flashed an override key. The gate opened. A small freighter stood waiting, old, dented, but fast. Lena climbed inside, heart still pounding. The last thing she saw before the door closed was a line of bounty, hunters already heading toward them. As the ship lifted into the sky, Lena sat down on the floor. Her hands were shaking. Royce placed a hand on her shoulder. "You okay?" "No," she whispered. "I said a word, and now the stars want us dead." He nodded slowly. "Well then," he said, "let's find out who made your word a weapon." The stolen freighter shot through deep space, its engines shaking as it pushed toward the edge of Zorathi territory. Inside the cockpit, Commander Royce stared ahead in silence, his fingers tight on the controls. Beside him, Lena Moore sat with her head down, clutching her knees. The stars were quiet, but her thoughts screamed, I said the right word, she muttered. I said honored, not obedient. Why didn't the translator match it? Royce glanced over. You sure you didn't stutter? Lena looked up sharply. I'm a linguist. I don't stutter in a royal hall. Royce nodded. Then, maybe someone wanted this. He pressed a button. A hologram of the bounty notice filled the cockpit. Wanted, Lena Moore. Earth linguist crime, verbal insult to the Zarathi crown. Status, kill on sight reward, 100,000 intergalactic credits. She stared at it. Her face, her name, her death sentence, all because of one word. Royce leaned back. The king didn't even ask questions. He stood, screamed, and declared war. That's not normal, not even for Zarathi pride. Lena took a shaky breath. You think it was planned? I think you were set up. They landed a few hours later on a dark, junk-covered planet known as Gravestone Orbit. It wasn't a real city, just a massive floating scrapyard. Smugglers, bounty hunters, and broken machines lived here, but it had one thing they needed. An old codebreaker named Egan Jex. Egan's workshop was hidden under a mountain of wrecked fighter ships. Lena followed Royce through narrow paths of twisted metal. Sparks flickered in the air. Rust crunched under their boots. Egan won't talk for free, Royce said. I can offer him translator tech, Lena replied. If it wasn't sabotaged. They found Egan inside a huge metal container, surrounded by glowing wires and robot arms. His cybernetic eye clicked as they entered. Well, well, he said with a grin. The famous criminals of the week. What an honor. Lena winced at the word honor. Royce stepped forward. We need you to analyze this. He handed over the backup memory chip from Lena's translator. Egan whistled. Zorathi dialect? Modified Earth interface? Very old mix. Who built this for you? Lena frowned. The Alliance did. I've used it for 5 years without issue. Egan's smile vanished. Well, it has an issue now. He plugged the chip into his console. Lines of alien code filled the screen. Egan's eye zoomed in. There, see this command string? Lena leaned closer. It's a word shift, he said. Tiny, hidden, buried inside the Zarathi sentence. Structure, just enough to change one word. Royce narrowed his eyes. Can you see who made the change? Egan shrugged. No signature. Whoever did it was smart. But not smarter than me. He tapped a few keys. There's a second log. Hidden. Inside. Look. The screen flashed. A new line appeared. Override injected. Execute on voice match. More. Lena gasped. They targeted me. Royce's jaw tightened. This wasn't an accident. Egan nodded. You didn't insult the king. Someone else did. They just used your voice to deliver it. Lena sat, down slowly. Someone used me to start a war. Royce placed a hand on her shoulder. No, someone used your voice. Now we use your truth. Egan tossed them a data chip. Here. Full evidence of the change. Bring that to the right court, and even a Zarathi judge will have to listen. Lena pocketed it. But if we go back now, they'll kill us before we even speak. Royce smirked. Then we don't go back as fugitives. Lena looked at him. What do we go back as? He answered, shadows. Later that night, bounty hunters entered Gravestone Orbit looking for Lena, but they found her room empty. The bed cold, the window open. Gone. As their freighter left the orbit's dark side, Lena stood at the front window. She held the chip in her hand, eyes full of fire. I'm going to fix this, she said. Word by word. Royce stood beside her. And I'll make sure no one silences you again. The stars ahead were full of danger, but Lena didn't feel small anymore. Not because she wasn't scared, but because now she had truth, and she was ready to speak it loud. The sky over Station Mirage looked peaceful from orbit, but inside its halls death moved quietly. Lena Moore kept her head low, cloak pulled tight over her shoulders, eyes scanning every passerby. The long metal corridor smelled like oil and heat. Neon signs blinked in alien languages above her, Behind her walked Commander Royce, armed and alert. They weren't just running now. They were hunting too. They had the truth. But truth meant nothing if they were dead. "I don't like this place," Lena whispered. Royce didn't stop walking. "You don't have to like it, you just have to stay alive." 3 hours earlier, they had received an encrypted message from a source they didn't trust. A single line. "The one who changed your translator is here. Doc 17. Come alone." Royce had wanted to ignore it. Lena didn't. "If someone's here who can name the saboteur, I'm listening," she'd said. Now they were here. No backup. No weapons drawn, just hope and risk. As they reached Dock 17, the lights above flickered. The area was quiet. Too quiet. Royce drew his sidearm slowly. "You see anyone?" "No," Lena whispered. Then she froze. Something moved. Just ahead, in the shadows near the cargo crates. "Step back," Royce ordered. But Lena stepped forward. "I came to talk." From the darkness, a figure emerged, thin, wrapped in robes, voice masked. "You were not supposed to survive the palace." Royce raised the weapon. "So you admit it?" The figure ignored him, looked only at Lena. "You speak well. Too well. You were never meant to be near the king." "Why?" she asked. "Why sabotage my translator?" "To start a fire," the figure said, "and feed it with human bones." Suddenly, more movement. 2 others stepped from the shadows. Bounty hunters, heavy armor, red lights on their visors, long-range blasters. Royce didn't wait. He fired. The first bolt hit one of them in the chest. The second shot missed. Lena ducked behind the cargo. The traitor vanished in the chaos. Blaster fire echoed through Dock 17. Lena crawled under a cargo sled, heart pounding. The hunters moved fast, too fast. Then she saw something glowing on the ground, a lost comm device. She grabbed it. "Hear me?" she called over the comm. Royce's voice. "Yeah, go," she yelled. "They're jamming signals near the south side. Can you loop around?" Already moving. One of the bounty hunters stepped near her hiding spot. He scanned the shadows. Boots crunching. Then, click. Lena tossed a flash grenade she had stolen from Gravestone Orbit. It exploded with white light and a loud scream. The hunter fell. She ran. She met Royce near the side hatch. He was bleeding from the arm but still standing. They didn't speak. They ran, back through the station corridors, past curious aliens and blinking screens. As alarms rang out behind them, they reached the freighter just before the doors sealed. Lena hit the thrusters. The ship launched from the bay, spinning once before disappearing into the stars. Inside, silence. Returned. Royce wrapped his arm with a bandage. "You okay?" Lena nodded, but her hands shook. She looked at the comm device she had grabbed. Still active. She pressed it. A voice came through, crackled but clear. The order came from someone inside the Earth-Zarathi Trade Council. Not Zarathi. Not alien. "One of yours." Lena stared at Royce. "One of our own people caused this." He didn't look surprised. "I had a feeling. There's profit in war. Some humans like blood as much as Zarathi do." She tightened her grip on the comm. "Then I'm not just clearing my name anymore. I'm exposing a traitor," she said. Royce smiled grimly. "And I'm backing you up." Outside the ship, the stars stretched on. But now Lena knew. The enemy wasn't just watching her. He was human, and closer than she thought. The stars outside were calm, but Lena Moore's mind wasn't. She sat inside the freighter's mess bay, staring at the data screen. The cracked comm device still blinked beside her, repeating the same message. The sabotage came from someone inside the Earth-Zarathi Trade Council. Not alien, human. Commander Royce stood near the window, silent, his injured arm wrapped in fresh cloth. "This was never about a mistranslation," Lena said. "Someone wanted this war." Royce nodded slowly. "And they used your mistake as the spark." Lena tapped the console. The image of the Zarathi king appeared, his golden armor, his burning eyes. the rage from the day of the insult still fresh in her mind. "I keep thinking about how fast he reacted," she said. "No warning, no questions, just death." Royce walked over. "I used to serve near Zarathi space, heard stories. The king's older brother died in a border fight with humans, a long time ago." Lena looked at him. "You think this is personal?" Royce nodded. "I think he's been waiting for a reason. Any reason." Lena pulled up old news files from the Interstellar Archive. "Here," she said. "Look at this." She played a video. A young Zarathi warrior stood tall beside a human trade ship, holding a banner of peace. Behind him, a battle broke out. Explosions, screams. The warrior was caught in the fire. The report said, "Zarathi casualty, Prince Tharvek." Unconfirmed if Earth forces were responsible. Royce exhaled. That was the king's brother. Lena whispered, "And I was standing in front of his killer's people." She leaned back in her chair. So the king wanted war. But politics stopped him. Until I showed up. "You were just the match," Royce said. "The fire was already there." They didn't speak for a while. Then Royce added, "We need help." Lena turned. "From who?" He tapped a name on the console. Salen Vok. "A Zarathi?" Lena frowned. "He's not military. He's a cultural historian, used to work with human peace teams. If anyone can help prove your innocence to the people, it's him." "Will he even see us?" Royce smiled. "He owes me a favor." A few hours later, their ship docked at a quiet moon called Tarnus 4. It looked empty, just sand, wind, and carved stone domes buried in rock. But beneath the surface, a library hummed with alien light. And deep inside that library sat Salen. Vok, tall, older, with silver lines on his skin and eyes full of thought. When Lena entered, he didn't rise, but he spoke. "So, the girl who offended the crown." Lena paused. "You believe the bounty?" "I believe many things," Salen said. "But I always prefer facts." Royce stepped forward. "We brought proof." He handed over the hacked translator logs, the data from Gravestone orbit, and the comm device with the anonymous warning. Salen took his time. He read every word, watched every playback. Finally, he looked at Lena. "You are not guilty of insult." She let out a breath. "But you are guilty of being used." He walked to a shelf and pulled down a small black stone. "This is from the Crown Palace," he said. "Before the last war." He pressed a button. A symbol lit up. The royal seal, but marked with 2 swords, not 1. The dual swords were the mark of peace between Zarathi and humans. The king had them removed after his brother died. Royce asked, "Why erase that history?" Salen answered, "Because the king does not want peace, he wants a story that ends in fire." Lena stepped forward. "Then help me tell another story. One with truth." Salen studied her. "You would go back to the capital?" "Yes," she said. "You would speak again before the same king?" "Yes," she said again. "Then you are either brave or foolish." He turned to a wall panel and opened a secret compartment. Inside was a small, round device with glowing patterns. "Take this," he said. "It's a truthcaster, ancient tech. If you speak through it, your words cannot be altered. Not by human, not by machine." Lena accepted it with both hands. "Thank you." Salen looked at her once more. "You were not the first to speak the wrong word," he said. "But you may be the first to survive it. And speak the right one." As they left the library, Royce asked her, "You ready for this?" Lena didn't hesitate. "No, but I'm going anyway." Far above in the royal palace, the king watched a report. It showed Lena's ship departing Tarnus 4. He crushed the screen in his hand. "She returns to speak?" he growled. "Then let the galaxy hear her final breath." The skies above Zarathi Prime shimmered with patrol drones and gold-colored warships. At the heart of the capital, the king's palace glowed red beneath a glass dome, guarded by tall towers and energy shields. No ship had entered without permission in over a decade. But today, one small freighter dared. Inside the cargo bay of the ship, Lena Moore tightened the straps on her robe. She was dressed like a royal data clerk. Long gray sleeves, plain face mask, and 0 weapons. Beside her, Commander Royce wore heavy armor, and cuffs on his wrists, a fake prisoner, a smuggled truth. "You sure this will work?" she asked. "No," Royce replied. "But it's better than sitting around." He adjusted the hidden pulse dagger in his boot. Lena tapped the small truthcaster hidden in her palm. "This is our voice now. Real words. No tricks. No sabotage." Royce looked at her. "Make them hear you." As they landed at Dock Sector 3, guards approached fast. Zarathi sentinels, tall and silent, aimed scanners at their ship. One of them barked, "Identify yourselves." Lena bowed slightly. "Clerk Vala, here with a captured traitor, human. Bounty code 759. The guard scanned Royce's cuffs. They blinked green. Approved. The gate opened. Inside the palace, the halls were colder than Lena remembered, empty of kindness, full of eyes. She walked slowly, head down, leading Royce past the marble statues and glowing pillars. She tried not to shake. Every step echoed like a heartbeat. At the main hall's corner, they turned left, toward the voice tower. It was an old chamber, now locked, but once used to send messages across the empire. Salen Vok had given them access, codes. One chance, one message, that would either clear Lena's name or get her killed. They reached the locked gate. 2 guards blocked the path. Lena stepped forward, voice calm. "Emergency voice log delivery. For the king's record." The taller guard narrowed his glowing eyes. "On whose order?" She held up a fake seal. They scanned it, read, denied. Royce didn't wait. He struck first, slamming his boot into the guard's knee. The second guard drew, a blade, but Lena threw a flash chip at his feet. Bang! Light exploded. Both guards fell, stunned. Royce dragged them aside. Lena pressed the override code into the panel. Door opened. They rushed inside. The room was circular, with a floating black sphere in the center. Around it, speaker lines stretched into the walls, wired to every major city in the empire. "This is it," Lena said. She walked to the sphere and held up the truthcaster. Her hands were shaking now, not from fear, from fire. She pressed the activation key. The sphere lit up. A low tone filled the room. "Broadcast link established. You may speak." Lena breathed in once, then spoke. "Citizens of the Zarathi Empire. My name is Lena Moore. I am the human who stands accused of insulting your king. I come not with weapons, but with truth. I did not call your king obedient. I called him honored. But my words were changed, my voice was twisted, by someone who wanted this war." Across the stars, people began to listen. Screens lit up. Rooms filled with her voice. She continued, "I hold proof, logs, code, and the voice of one of your own scholars. I speak now through a truthcaster. My words cannot be changed. My voice is mine." In the throne room, the king stood slowly. His court froze. A servant whispered, "She's inside the voice tower, my lord." His hand gripped his blade. Back in the tower, Lena finished. "Ask your king why he reacted with war before asking for truth. Ask him who really benefits from silence." She lowered the truthcaster. The broadcast ended. Then she turned to Royce. "Let's go." But the door slammed open. The king himself walked in. 6 guards behind him, his golden armor glowing, eyes burning. He stared at Lena, then at the truthcaster. "You speak well," he said coldly, "but words will not save you." Lena stood tall. "No, but they might save everyone else." The king raised his sword. "Your head belongs to the crown." Royce moved to draw his weapon, but the king raised his hand to stop him. Then he dropped his sword. It clanged against the floor. Silence. The king spoke to his guards. "Leave us." The guards hesitated, then obeyed. The door closed. The king looked at Lena. My brother believed in peace with your kind. He died for it. I buried that dream. Lena replied softly. Maybe it's time to dig it back up. The king turned his back. Go. Before I change my mind. Royce touched Lena's arm. They walked out, alive. But everything was different now. The halls of the palace felt different now. Lena Moore walked beside Commander Royce, both of them breathing fast, every step echoing with the weight of what they had just done. She had spoken. Before the Zorathi Empire, before a galaxy, and she was still alive. Down in the city below, things were changing. Across massive screens on Zorathi Prime, her message played on loop. Her voice echoed in marketplaces, in starports, and training fields. I did not say obedient, I said honored. My voice was stolen, but now I speak freely. Many didn't believe her, but many did. The Truthcaster had changed everything. No tampering, no edits, just pure voice, heard by billions. In a hidden control room in the palace, two Zorathi generals argued. This human should be executed. No. The people are listening now, she's becoming a symbol. If we silence her, we become what she claims. They turned as the king entered. He said nothing. Just watched the screen as Lena's face filled it. Meanwhile, back on the freighter, Lena sat quietly in the cockpit. Her hands still trembled, not from fear, but from the feeling that something real had started. Royce entered holding a data pad. You need to see this. He showed her the feed. Protests on several Zorathi worlds, alien, students chanting her name, old war veterans refusing to fight until the truth is heard. Lena stared at the screen. She whispered, I just said one word right, that's all it took. Royce smiled. No, that's not all. You said it when it mattered. A transmission request blinked. Incoming call. Unknown Zorathi channel. Royce reached for the shutdown switch. Lena stopped him. Answer it. The call opened. The screen showed a young Zorathi female in a royal scribe's robe. My name is Thalri, daughter of Prince Tharvek. Lena froze. Your father? Yes. He died in the war. My uncle, the king, raised me. I grew up hearing your people were monsters. She paused. But when I heard your voice, I didn't hear a monster. Lena didn't know what to say. Thalri continued. Your words opened a door. Now I want to walk through it. Lena nodded slowly. You want peace? I want understanding, Thalri said, and maybe a friendship. Suddenly a loud alarm blared through their ship. Warning, interceptor vessel approaching. Royce jumped to the console. Zorathi military cruiser closing fast. Lena stood. Broadcast again. Royce turned. What? Open the signal. Let everyone hear what happens next. Royce did it. The broadcast channel lit up. Every Zorathi colony, every Earthship, all watching. Lena stepped into the center of the screen. This is Lena Moore, she said calmly. I've been hunted, blamed, used. But I've also spoken, and many of you have listened. You heard my truth once, now watch my choice. Outside the freighter, the massive gold-colored Zorathi cruiser hovered, weapons armed. The screen blinked again. Another call, this time from the king himself. Royce looked shocked. He's calling you directly. Let him through, Lena said. The king appeared on screen, his eyes cold, his voice heavy. You should have left. I did, Lena answered. But the truth stayed. He stared at her, then slowly nodded. You've changed the winds, translator. He raised a hand and gave the signal. The cruiser powered down its weapons. Across the stars, people cheered. Others stood in stunned silence. One small voice had shifted a system built on pride. The king looked at Lena again. Come back to Zorathi. Prime, he said. This time, not as a fugitive. Lena swallowed. As what then? He answered. As our guest, our bridge, our translator, of more than just words. She didn't respond right away. Then finally, I will come. But Only if I can bring others, he tilted his head. Who? She smiled. Anyone who still believes peace is worth learning. The grand hall of the Zorathi Palace was quiet. No cheers, no music, just thousands of eyes. Watching, waiting. At the center stood King Vorthaz, gold armor shining, sword resting at his side. And across from him, on the same black glass platform where she once stood as a criminal, stood Lena Moore. But this time she stood tall, not trembling, not hiding. It had been 3 days since her broadcast shook the empire. 3 days since soldiers refused orders. 3 days since her name went from traitor to translator of peace. And now, the king had called for her to return, to speak one final time before all the empire's clans. Beside Lena stood Commander Royce, armor polished, eyes sharp. On the other side, Thalri, the king's niece, dressed in royal blue, and behind them a crowd of humans, Zorathi and other species, diplomats, soldiers, citizens, all here because one woman had made them believe a different future was possible. The king raised his hand. The room fell silent. Then he spoke. Lena Moore, you once insulted me with a single word, but today, you have honored me with many. Lena stepped forward, her voice clear. I didn't come to fix the past. I came to stop it from repeating. She glanced around the hall. So many wars have begun from words, but not enough peace has started with them. The king slowly unsheathed his sword. Gasps echoed. Lena didn't move. He walked toward her, one heavy step at a time. The blade hung by his side, sharp, clean, deadly. Then, he dropped it. Clang! The metal echoed across the hall. He turned his back and knelt. The king, the ruler of the most feared empire in this sector, bowed before the human who once stood accused of treason. I judged too quickly, he said. Let this act show my people that we will listen before we strike. Shock swept through the chamber. But then one by one the Zorathi council knelt beside him. Then the guards. Then the crowd. A wave of silent respect. Lena didn't bow. She stepped forward and offered her hand. The king took it and stood. That night, the swords of Zorathi, once a symbol of war, were pulled down from the palace walls. In their place a new banner was raised, 2 open hands. One human, one Zorathi, the seal of accord. Across the galaxy, news spread fast. War averted by human translator. Single word started the chaos, but her voice ended it. Lena Moore, the woman who changed a crown, later, on the steps of the palace, Lena stood alone beneath the stars. Royce joined her, holding a warm cup. You know they're going to offer you a position, he said. Something high, council seat, peace director, maybe even ambassador. Lena didn't answer at first. She looked up, at the stars that nearly became battlefields. Then she said, I don't want power. Royce raised an eyebrow. Then what? She turned to him and smiled. I want to build a school. He blinked. A school? Yes, she said. A language school. One that teaches not just words but culture, mistakes, meaning. So no one else makes mine again? Lena nodded. So the next translator doesn't need a truthcaster. A few weeks later, in a small white dome outside Zorathi Prime, a new building opened. It had no guards, no blades, only books, voices, and peace. Above its entrance, written in both human and Zorathi script, were these words. One word can start a war, but another can end it. Choose wisely, speak bravely. Inside, Lena sat with children of both races, teaching them the word that almost ended everything, and the truth that saved them all. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a queen. She was just a woman with a voice, who spoke when it mattered most. And the galaxy listened.